Well, hello. Welcome back.
We are sitting down to share part 2 of our story in network marketing today.
Kevin, you cannot be a part of this, dude. You can't even be in here for this.
Every time we hit play, he knows, and he's like, I'm about to.
It's a little ridiculous. It's like he wants some attention or something.
Buddy, you gotta go away.
He's like, hi, I'm Kevin. I live in this house too. Welcome back to our crazy journey.
Yep. So I think last we left off, we talked a little bit about how we started this journey for both Adam and myself when we were 19, 20 years old. If you missed that, we will link it here somewhere on this screen for you to go check out and get caught up. But where we left off is we actually talked about the transition out of our first ever network marketing company nearly 15 years ago. It's crazy to even think about. And the fact that we then kind of decided to go underground for a bit. It was a little ambiguous. What do we mean by that?
Well, so here's what really happened. And there's kind of a caveat to that, hey, we went underground thing. On our way out of our first company that was traditionally and 100% offline.
Yes.
This is back when MySpace was still around. Facebook was brand new.
Like people were just starting to use their friends list.
Twitter was brand new.
Twitter wasn't even around.
Yes, it was. Twitter was brand new.
Okay. But like the way that we were taught to build our business was you talk to your friends and family. Facebook lists, like running your Facebook list was a brand new thing. And then like talking to strangers.
That didn't age well in
it
this
didn't
industry.
age well. It did not. No. People hate that.
But what happened was there was a gentleman that I really highly looked up to in our first company that he was one of the fastest growing pins that the company had ever seen.
Of all time.
I'm talking like
to
4 months ready to make $100,000 start to finish. Okay, 4 months. Yeah. All of a sudden he just went away one day.
Like vanished.
And he vanished at the same time Ashleigh and I were starting to have some revelations about things.
And question things and
And right after we said, sayonara, learned what I learned there, this ain't where my dreams die. And Ashleigh is really good at things.
I'm a sleuth.
She found this guy online, tracked him down, found his phone number.
I can find most people online if I really put my
And this is like 15 years ago when everybody's information was not out there. I'm not telling you she's like a CIA hacker because she's not. She just happened to find this guy.
Yeah.
And we called him up. We'll say, I'm not going to use any names here. It was like, what happened?
Yeah, like where did you go and what are you doing now? That's what we were interested in.
Here's the thing he wouldn't tell us on the phone.
Yeah.
He said, and this is where things got wild for us and that changed my life. He said, if you guys want to know what really went on, come to my house. I live about 3.5 hours away.
Yep.
I'll clear my schedule.
Yep. So we got in the car.
We did that. Yeah.
We drove 3.5 hours to where he lived. And I mean, we had met him in person before, so we trusted him. And we sat at his kitchen table and he shared
probably
everything.
7 or 8 hours.
It was incredible. Yeah. Shared everything with us. And what we actually came to learn was, a lot of why he left, which were some of the reasons why we left as well. And then what he was doing now. And what he was doing, like this was probably 11, 12 years then into our, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And so like for us, we had never really understood or had grasped like growing your network marketing business online.
Brand new. It was brand new then. There was nothing called a brand or anything like that.
Yeah.
The thing that caught my attention is he didn't leave our previous company until he was already making $10,000 a month online.
Yeah.
Which was more than he was making from the offline company. So he had my attention, right? Mm-hmm. And he showed us some different skill sets and a lot of different things. He called, what was it called? Man, I had to go to a way back machine here.
This was back when
forms of marketing.
Well, like we were doing banner ads. Was a thing.
Yep.
Like all these different forms.
Safe list. If you guys watching this, you ever heard of something called a safe list? That dude was making bank on safe lists and ClickBank also, which is still around.
Yeah, still an affiliate piece. But he had there was a form of MLM and some affiliate. He was actually involved in a couple of different product lines, but he was doing really well, and he was learning how to market himself in these products online. And I'm like, this is cool. He had a blog set up.
That was where I was going to go. Because when we learned he taught us how to blog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we learned how to blog, our business wasn't even called 3Out Lead Team at the time. It was just Adam and Ashleigh, 2 college dropouts trying to survive.
We were just trying to figure out like how to make this thing happen for ourselves.
Blogging, outside of just seeing the online marketing world, changed our future.
Yes. And so I think what's important to note is through this process, Adam and I were still dating. And even through all of this, like we actually took some time off between like when we left our company.
Let's tell that story here. So just because people want to know the story, so we're going to try to tell it to you.
We wanted to, when we left the company, we always said to ourselves, like, we're not just going to go jump into anything. We saw what we saw, and we knew that we wanted to find a network marketing company that aligned with our values, that had the things that we wanted. And frankly, we knew some of the things we wanted, but we hadn't experienced enough to realize all of what we were looking for, or all of the requirements that we would need and want in a company and a team. And so getting to connect with this person who opened these doors for us, and like we got involved in what he was doing, and we made a little bit of money, but we learned a skill set in that process. Now, mind you, we were both still working full time. I was like corporate, I think like $11 an hour job. Like, and this,
you were answering phones.
Through this process, we both said, like when we left our the first company, we both said like, maybe we need to press pause on this, figure out what we really want from it, and go get really good at the way that the world does it, which is like, let's go accelerate and excel in our jobs, in your family business, like all the things that
And this is before that. So this, I think, should be the tone. When Ashley and I sit down to shoot our story, we're not sure the direction it's going to go, but we're going to make sure it makes sense at the end.
Yeah.
This was when we had just left something that I thought was going to be the deal.
Yes.
Right. And it could have been if the right things were in place to an extent. I probably would have got behind closed doors and said, "See you later, no thank you." But what happened then was we both, for the first time, looked ourselves in the mirror and said, number one, we better love each other because we committed to each other even though we were dating. Number two, we better go figure out how to win at the world because we got bills to pay and we can't pay them.
Yeah. Yeah, we were being fiscally responsible adults. And for anyone, I think this is important to note because we've seen people that get attached to their companies and they like live and die by them. And we talk to people who are not seeing results in their companies after putting in a lot of work.
Somebody's doing a really good job of selling you on the company and not selling you on the idea of you being your own business owner.
Yeah, and so while I think it's really well intentioned, everyone comes into a company and they're like, this is it for me. Be realistic with yourself. Like when you step into something at first go, it might not be your long-term strategy.
Most people, when they get to that place, they say goodbye to the industry forever, and it's the biggest mistake you could ever make.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you learn something that you can take on in building your own team. Most people never taught to build their own team. Okay, I want to say something here. This is like the #1 book in network marketing that uplines tell you to read. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich. But what I've seen is most uplines, most teams, they don't want you to think. They want you to do what you're told.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to build your own team, you're going to have to think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things we learned throughout this period. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but sometimes this part of the thing gets a little bit hairy here because so much happened. So much happened inside of us, and to us together, we grew as one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, throughout this entire process, it was like we did kind of grow underground. We just got really quiet with friends, with family, because we were just trying to figure it out. We were trying to understand like, is where do we align next in network marketing? How do we go take care of each other, frankly, and establish like our home foundation? We knew we wanted to be together long term. We were super broke at the time.
So you're saying that we did not stick with online marketing the first go round?
We did not. We learned an incredible amount though. And I think for both of us, both of our careers started to really accelerate as well around this time. I think it was like, we had taken so much out of our first experience in network marketing, and then we had learned the online piece. And a lot of what I had learned about the online piece, I was applying to my day job, and they were seeing it. They were like, wait, you know how to blog? You know how to do website work? Like, what is this? And I started, through what I was learning outside of the workplace, they weren't teaching me this. I was learning it on my own. I started getting identified and started getting put in line for promotions and got promoted to help, like be our IT help desk person. I got into tech
how wild is that?
It was absolutely crazy, but it was a total God thing. And I was a willing vessel. I wanted to learn, I wanted to grow. And the person that was in charge of all of that was looking for someone who was willing to be coached, who had the right temperament, who aligned culturally with the company. It was like, you were all those things. I can teach you how to put together a desktop or how to set up, a local network or install a printer. And I learned all of those things. But had I not have gone through having to learn some of these more like the online piece and the skill set, really the soft skill set of working with people and relating to people and understanding what motivates them, I don't think I would have had those opportunities or those doors opened.
You would not have. And this is really where the story becomes, we became pissed off at greatness.
Yeah.
Okay. When you drop out of college and just, there's a lot of people that said, I don't want to be around them. They're losers. They're those type of people. Just don't go around them because they're not doing their life the way that the world tells everybody to do it.
It was always this awkward, unspoken thing.
You want to talk about
sometimes.
Being alienated, being on an island all by yourself?
Yeah.
That's exactly what had to happen in our life. Okay? And maybe that's where we take this conversation, because when we got serious and we said, you know what? I'm not losing. Mm-hmm. I'm not losing at the world. What happened was our work ethic started to come out.
Like crazy.
And what happened for both of us was, obviously we weren't qualified to have any high-paying jobs. We had no idea what we were ever going to do just to run a traditional business or anything like that, or be the person that can show up every day and do that. We actually did have it in our hearts to completely, for over 2 years, just alienate ourselves. We didn't have anything that we related with people about.
Yeah.
Our family or our close friends. They all went away. And that was fine with us. Okay, you guys got to hear this part of the story, because the rest of it won't make sense unless you understand this one. There was things that were happening in our hearts. There were some different passions that we had. And then there was a part of, hey, my dream's not dying on this hill.
Yeah.
And if I have to slow down to speed up, that's what I'm going to do.
And that's what we did.
And this took a lot of leadership from me.
Yes.
For the first time as a man leading a young lady that I loved. With everybody, and I'm just going to say this because it's true. People didn't want her to be with me. So I had some self-image stuff going on right there, because I just told everybody I was going to go build this company and be a multimillionaire. Just dropped out of college for it, okay? Yeah. Just be cancer. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And then the world smacks you so hard.
Get severely humbled.
You can't just go deliver the knockout blow to the world. Sometimes you got to throw a few jabs before you start popping them hard. And I didn't know if she was going to follow me. I was almost 100% confident that she wouldn't. What we did was we got full-time jobs and part-time jobs.
Yep.
We lived in a 500 square foot apartment. We lived off of, like, I'm not kidding you guys, $15 a piece a week to eat. And this was in a time frame there where Ashleigh worked at a coffee shop, and
at a point, yeah.
I would go in there and help her close so that we could steal some stuff from them.
Mm-hmm. We would take like milk, the baked goods. I mean, we literally had nothing. I remember shopping. I would strategically go shop at a place called Aldi. And I knew I could get certain things for certain amounts. And like, I had maybe $20 for both of us to spend for the week. A lot of our meals came from when we were serving, like, the cooks will toss you something extra, which was, you always made friends with the kitchen staff. But we were just hustling. Like, and I don't condone stealing at all.
It was surviving.
But that's what we were doing. Yeah. And it was like, oh, hey, this milk's about to, potentially go bad. Let's snag some so we have some for the morning. That's where we were. Like, we were just trying to get by. And we still had these big goals. We had these things we wanted to do, but we were getting to work on ourselves through that process. So
we did was we worked full-time, we worked part-time, at least 60 hours a piece a week, and we saw each other for at least, I'm sure it was a year and a half.
Ships in the night is what I'd call it.
Goodbye in the morning if one of us was awake, and the other
by
one was definitely asleep by the time the other person got home. And the whole thing was, there was this vision that we both shared for some reason. I can't explain why. There's a vision that someday we're going to go do something big in this industry.
Yeah.
And we don't know what it is. And when we see it, it's going to happen. okay? And we went, and you guys want to talk about faith. I think it was honestly a solid 3 years there before we touched it. And where that story picks up is really kind of wild, because it was one of the jobs that I worked at. And maybe this is where we leave this one off till the next time. Because I was introduced to it the first time. I was the guy that was introduced to it the second time. One of my jobs, I was a cook at a big company here in Omaha. And I ran my kitchen. We used to cook for, I think, like 400 people every day.
Just crazy amount of people in a small kitchen,
small kitchen, and I managed and ran the whole thing.
Yep.
So you got to be good at people. And when you're running a kitchen that way, you know, the stockbrokers that come through the line, they're arrogant anyways.
High ego, yeah.
So you got to be able to just like check it and say, yes, sir, absolutely. I'd do that for you right now.
Yep.
This guy used to come through my line, and I was there, I think, at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning every day. And he got to know me, you know, just because I tried to do that with everybody. He's like, Adam, make me some eggs, 2 over easy. I got to go take a dump. I'll be right there.
This really happened, by the way. This is a true story.
Every day.
Yeah.
He's a really sweet guy.
Wonderful person.
I wonder if he'll see this one. Well, he knows who he is. Anyway, he'd do that all the time, and I was like, oh, this guy's like, fine, yes, I gotta go, just because I was still asleep. And he came through my line, and all of a sudden, this dude had dropped like a bunch of weight in about 90 days or so. He was talking about how he was starting to run like some 5Ks and really get back in the gym. And I was like, man, you're looking great. Awesome. What are you doing? And he throws me an energy drink packet. He's like, this is it right here. Now he thought he was prospecting or contacting me. I didn't know that yet until I saw what was in the packet.
And you're like, oh, wait a minute.
He throws me an energy supplement. He's like, yeah, but you never heard of this. I'm like, I was growing up, I was a very highly competitive wrestler. Energy drink supplement he threw me, I had been taking since I was 14 years old. I didn't know that there was a business model behind it in this industry.
No one ever told you.
No, nobody ever told me.
Yeah.
Till that point.
Yep.
And he's like, you've heard of that? I was like, yeah, man, I've known about this stuff forever. He's like, oh, dude, I'm making some money with that stuff. I'm like, how? Never knew there was an opportunity behind it. And so he just kind of led me on for a little bit, and came down to it. He's like, hey, let me sit down with somebody that can show you this thing. Well, I automatically knew what he was doing. He was prospecting me. He was showing me the
We knew the process.
Yep. I just played stupid with him, okay? Until we sat down with his upline. Upline's a really cool guy, too. They had no idea who they were talking to. No idea that I was a guy that could go out there and dropped out of college and work just to put gas in my car to go show a trifold brochure and lead people in one of the worst, hardest growing companies. They had no idea who they were talking to. So Ashley and I were sitting there, and this is probably where we'll end the story. Now you're talking, we were working 60 hours a week. We got engaged at this time, but we'll share that one at the next video.
That was exciting.
They didn't know who they were talking to, and I didn't tell them who they were talking to. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but that's when we started to see, like, okay, so I saw this offline thing, built it, didn't want to do it again. Saw that people can do some stuff online that's pretty cool. Now this guy's showing me something that I actually love their products. I can't support them today. You'll find out why. But I love their products, and there's an opportunity behind it. And they're still doing it the old school way.
And what was interesting was we were at a place in our lives at that point where we were, like, we had figured some of our stuff out. We were in a much better spot financially. You know, we were working, like, we were engaged. Like, things were kind of coming into alignment where we're like, we should look at this seriously.
We had no lifestyle, but we had started to figure out the dollar bill.
Yes.
So we had to figure out, and we didn't tell them we were even going to market. In fact, we said, no, I'm not interested in marketing this right now, but let me sign up so I can get a discount on some products. We knew if we were going to continue to make the money that we were making, we were going to have to figure out how to put some things on automation. And that's where it all started.
Yep. So what we did over the coming year and a half completely took what they were doing and turned it on its head.
And we made a whole bunch of people mad. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not sorry, but part of our story is we make people mad sometimes.
But we grew in the process. So stay tuned for part 3 of our story. talking about coming into a new company, taking what we had learned online, applying it to an offline company to understand what happens next.
Thought this could be like originally we thought 3-part series. I keep leaning toward more than that. But here's the thing you got to understand. Our story is one of perseverance because we wanted to be our own boss. Not only that, but we wanted to change things. How many people see this industry and they say, man, that's the best thing I've ever seen. They get involved and no one wants to listen to why it doesn't work or how it could be better.
Yeah.
That is our journey.
Yes.
And it's not going to say it's easy. You probably heard at this point, it's very difficult. I don't like to lose. In fact, I hate losing more than I like to win. And I think it was the love of my wife, the dream of my heart, and the God that we serve that continued to push us on from this distinct part of our story into the future and where we're going to take this tale. So, if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and click on the next video because it's going to get really good here very shortly. Okay? Hey.
Let's go.